even have my fucking chat. I don't have chat set up. Give me a second. Let me fix this. There you are. How's it going, guys? Hey, Dragonass. Hi, me. Hi, Corbin. Hi, Doncha. Hi, Molly Ma. How's it going? Oh my God, guys! I'm gonna be honest. I rushed to sit down here today. I was not prepared. I was not ready for stream. I still gotta get set up a couple things. How's everybody doing today? Let me do this right now. I gotta add the fucking queue. Chat going. First time you see your full body. Oh, you don't see my full body. You just see the sweatshirt I'm wearing in my head and some arms. You crazy. You crazy. All right, guys. While I set things up obnoxiously slowly, I apologize. It's good to see all of you. You got no questions, just hanging out? That's fine. The way that today's going to go is if folks want to ask questions, they can. But if nobody wants to ask questions or call in, we can write some homebrew. We're either going to do some chat writes homebrew or we're going to do, whatever the thing I just said is. Call-in show. Oh, man. All right, so we're going to give folks a second to hop in. Basically, the way that this is going to work is if you're new, hello, you're going to want to go to my Discord. In the Discord, there is a section that is called streaming. And you will notice, you won't notice any chat rooms there. Oh, no chat rooms there. But if you wait a moment or two, I'm going to open a chat room there. And then as soon as you join it, you will be in the queue. It's like a line. And then I will pull you in one at a time, and you can ask me a question, and we can discuss something. And that's going to be the way that it works. So basically, that's it. There's not a lot more to it than that, other than the fact that you get one question. And if you ramble, I'm going to cut you off. Because we're getting too many rambles. You know? So that's kind of it in a nutshell. And I think it's going to be a pretty good time. We're gonna give folks a second to get on, and then we're gonna start. Does that sound good? I hope it sounds good. I hope it sounds good. You know? Welcome, new folks and old. You thought this was just a D&D show? Come on, we gotta do a little dance party to start. Otherwise, what are we doing with our lives, you know? You know what I'm talking about? You know? Seriously, though, we are going to wait for a hot second to let some folks get here, because we're going to open the chat room all at once. And then everyone's going to have to rush in. Look at this. You know? That's how it goes in my house. If I do this too, if my foreheads become the same forehead, that's a dangerous place to go, friends. You gotta be careful with that one. Oh, I don't know why I still think this is so funny, but it's so funny. This little nonsense game we play. I got some schmutz on my eyes. Forehead check. Forehead's looking good. Nose check. Nose is looking good. All right. I feel like we're just about ready to start. You know? Okay, cool. I think we're about ready to start. 12 head? Man, I wish. I'm still working on it. I'm going to get to the 12 head. The thing about having a big head is it gives you more power. The larger your head, the more power you have. Where's the music that I wanted to listen to? Uh-oh. Here we go. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to open the chat room. So if you want to join in to this stream, the instructions are right there. And then once the room is open, we'll start. I'm going to need to lower the volume here. All right, we'll do that in a second. Let me open the room first. The room is going to be opening in 3, 2, 1. The room is open. Did I open the right room? I did. All right, some people are starting to come in. Nice, nice, nice. Here, I got a little... That's not in the right spot. Give me a second here. I gotta pin the message. Man, normally I'm so much more prepared. Sorry, guys. Oh yeah, pin it. All right. Everyone's like, what the fuck is this? Who the fuck is this man? There we go. There it is. We don't need all this top part. All right, so we got 5 people in the waiting room right now. 6 people in the waiting room. 7 people in the waiting room. Holy moly. All right. Nice. Okay. Guys, I have some cool new stuff I want to show you, but I can't actually show you till the end of stream, which is a bummer. But that's okay. Did chat make homebrew? No, we basically did call-ins for the whole show. My guess is we're not going to have as many people today because I'm starting way earlier. And I feel like a lot of you are still in your little worlds. But who's to say? I'm just a man on a homebrew mission. But maybe we'll make some homebrew today. We'll see. All right, let's see who we have here. We have Bildo, Philip, Sauce Bomber, Smithy, Thunderdan Man, Dalek, and Boca. These are the first 7. So if you are watching and you want to be one of these people, these are the instructions. If you do that, you become in line. Let's grab Bildo. Why is this so much worse? Why is this setup so much worse than it was before? I don't know. All right. Bildo. Bildo, I have brought you into the room.
How's it going?
Hello, how are you?
Doing good.
Good afternoon.
Tired.
July 5th.
Still morning for me. 10 a.m.
What time is it? 10 a.m.
Yeah, I'm West Coast.
I've heard of that coast.
Yeah, it's somewhere.
I've only been there twice.
It's beautiful. It's, in my opinion, far superior to other coasts.
Well, that's fair. That's fair. I accept that opinion. I feel like the East Coast is not known for its beauty, although there are some beautiful parts. But the problem with the West Coast is that you have a lot of beauty, but you also have too much nonsense.
Yes, way too many people.
Yeah.
I mean, there's people on the East Coast, but like, they don't suck as much, from what I understand.
No, they suck, but they suck in a more grounded way. Like
a more private way.
What'd you say?
A more private way?
No, not even more private, but it's more like I'm grumpy because I have to go work at the factory and I don't want to like talk to you and I'm a little rough around the edges. And I feel like West Coast is more like, behold my crystal kingdom. It's like different nonsense, you know?
We do have legal drugs, so it's...
We have some legal drugs.
I live in Oregon, though, so we got all of them.
Oh, yeah, you're in Crazy Man Town. I was in Oregon once. I was in Olympia.
That's a beautiful place.
I did a road trip down the West Coast, or up the West Coast, and we did the California coast, and we did some of the John Muir Trail, and then we ended visiting folks in Olympia. It was a good time. Nonetheless, what can I do for you today?
I posted a homebrew and stream events. I could sit here and bullshit for hours, but
we're not talking about homebrew right now.
Oh, are we not? What are we talking about then?
We're just talking about whatever we want to talk about. Life, questions.
And then we're already doing it. Shit.
But I don't want to look at homebrew right now.
I do have a question. I am creating a list of drugs that are in D&D, making a comprehensive guide,
Sure.
Pros, cons, the culture around them.
Sure.
What should I not miss?
You're gonna want to have. I mean, I think you're gonna have the big three are gonna be stimulants, depressants, and not psychotics, but like
Psychotropics.
Psychotropics. That's what I would say.
Well, I mean, I didn't know if there was a named one specifically, because I have like Soothe from Critical Role, and I have a bunch of other stuff.
I don't know of any like specific ones that are official. I will say the best idea that I've ever heard of for doing the equivalent of drugs in D&D was, and I've used this in many of my games at this point, but it's essentially a thing you consume, and when you consume it, you are considered charmed by every creature you see. Meaning that everything that you see, you cannot willingly harm, and you consider like a friend. And it's better at persuasion stuff against you. So it basically puts you in this like hyper-friendly state because everything is your buddy and you can't hurt it.
That does sound like MDMA.
So that's one that I've thought of before. I'll tell you what, I don't want to look at your homebrew right now, but I'll hear about it. What's your homebrew that you're working on?
I mean, a bunch of them. The one that I posted was a Harvester Devil. I'm trying to find a mechanic because the original Harvester Devil mechanic is you have to succeed a DC 25 Wisdom saving throw or you can't hit it.
Oh.
And it's like, why don't you just give it like a 30 armor class and then, you know. Anyways, I kind of swapped it out for a natural 20 thing, or
Okay.
not natural 20, but critical hits. So it is immune to damage unless it is a critical hit. That is just to material plane beings. So if you like summon a Planetar or something, it's going to wreck him.
What CR is this guy?
20.
That's intense for a CR, even for a CR 20 monster. That's pretty intense. Can you mess with him in other ways?
Yeah, nothing to do with like saving throws. So he still takes damage from spells like that. There are cheeky ways, like he's really susceptible to being trapped.
I was gonna say, like, is he like? I was gonna say, like, what kind of immunities does he have? Like, can he still be like, grappled and restrained and stuff like that?
Like charmed. What was it? Charmed, paralyzed, exhaustion, stunned, but not restrained. Not grappled, nothing like that. So yeah, he doesn't have any escape. He doesn't have any. No ways to get out. But he has like a couple of ways to corrupt and lay these like curses a little bit, and then he uses that for synergy for other things. Like if you're cursed and you drop to 0 HP, instead of dying, you are charmed by him and like indefinitely, as long as you're on the same plane of existence, because he's a devil.
Interesting. I think that this is and you've made this monster, or is this a monster that you've made from inspiration from other things?
Yes, kind of both. So it's from D&D originally, and I saw a video of someone doing it, and I was like, well, I don't really like that, so I kind of made my own.
I would probably make it bigger than CR20. That sounds like a bigger than CR20. Like CR20 monsters they're very strong. They do crazy stuff, but they don't do. They're still they're like a pit fiend. Like a pit fiend, I think, is a CR20 monster. And a pit fiend has some things, but it's mostly still just like a big monster that hits and does a lot of damage. But they're not like getting crazy immunities and stuff. The other thing that you could do is you could also make it very frail. So it could have all of these things, but it actually has not that many hit points for what CR it is.
187 hit points, which is fairly low, I thought.
That's pretty squishy for a CR20, but you could even go lower potentially. But I like the idea a lot. One of the things that makes me think about is when you get to super high CR with monsters, it does become a game for the dungeon master of like, how do I make this interesting and how do I make this difficult? And I think something like what you're describing, like they are immune to damage from attacks other than critical hits, is one of those things that will make a super high challenge rating party have to think a lot. Like, you're not that threatened that often when you're level 20, you know?
Yeah.
So I like that idea conceptually quite a bit. I'm very curious to see how it would feel in play. Like, I wonder what it would feel like to be a martial character fighting one of these things, if it would be fun or be frustrating. I don't know.
I think the angle would be to try to get as much advantage as possible, right? Try to get those crits.
Yeah, but you still have very little, you still have no agency over whether or not they happen. Like, you have a little bit of stuff you can do to alter it, but there is it's essentially making it where you're going from the sort of somewhat gambly but ratioed, I'm rolling to attack, to my bonuses to hit don't matter. I have to roll a 20. So I'm just trying to get, you have a 5% chance of hitting. And I don't know how I feel about that. I think I would need to see it or try it a little bit. I think it would work great with casters, but if I was like a straight martial character, I don't know how I'd feel about that.
No, I'm trying to find a way that where it's fun for everyone and challenging, because it kind of sucks to be like, oh, well, you can't hit it. But also with a DC 25 or 30 wisdom saving throw, you can't hit it. Like,
yeah, but
you still have to get
I mean, to be fair, I think it's much easier. Keep in mind, we're thinking level 20 here. I think it's much easier to hit a DC 25 wisdom saving throw than it is to get a natural 20, because you can do a lot of stuff to increase that. There's spells you can take. There's it's easy. There's ways to buff saving throws. Much more than there are ways to guarantee crits. Like, you can stand next to a paladin. There's a handful of spells or magic items that can buff that sort of stuff. So, like, there's a little bit more agency there. I don't know if it's better or worse. Like I'm saying, I like the crit hit damage thing. The only thing that I think is worth thinking about that is, like, okay, how do we make sure that characters that are still just hitting stuff with swords are enjoying this? And I don't know what the answer to that is, but that is the question.
I think maybe both. Like, do the wisdom saving throw or critical hit.
Oh, you give them a choice?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you meet either criteria, you can strike, right? So that way people have options and things they can do. And also, he has a summoning mechanic, like collect a debt. Mm-hmm. So his whole thing is that he has protection from the gods because of ancient contracts, right? So he collects debts for devils. So he's got a lot of favors saved up. So all of his summons count as one concentration.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so the marshals are going to be busy beating up his minions a little bit too.
Yes, and it's just a snowball that he summons some undead, and they're like wights or something, and then he summons some devils, and then a couple other things, and then he summons a greater devil, and it is like full scale fight at that point.
Okay. Cool. That sounds like fun. I'm very curious to hear how that would play. I genuinely don't know. I'm very curious.
I have it for a BBEG for one of my parties, but we're still like 15 sessions from that, so we'll see.
Oh man, one of the hardest parts about playing Dungeons and Dragons, in my opinion, is when you have a great idea and you have to wait months to use it.
Yeah, or years.
Like, how do you and like, who do you talk to? Who can you share it with? Because all your fucking nerdy friends that would be excited are probably the people that are in your game.
Yeah. I've had plot lines that literally take years to come to fruition, and I can't tell the players about it, and I'm just holding this secret.
Yeah, it's rough. When COVID started, I got a group of strangers together and started playing D&D, and we played weekly online, but truly it was strangers when we started, but like playing D&D once a week was like a lot of our anchor for like we still exist as people. And so I was hyper committed to this campaign in a way that I hadn't been to others, or I had been to others, but not in the same degree. And I was also, I'm a goofy DM. I do a lot of like, oh, and now you're in another dimension. I like it. I like when things get weird. I'm a big fan of things getting weird.
Me as well.
I have a very hard time running a meandering slice of life campaign. But I had this idea for the villain, like a twist that I was like, oh, this will be cool. And I had to I had to sit on it for a year, and it was so hard to not share it. But then when I did get to reveal it, it was pretty cool. Yeah. All right, cool, man. Thank you for the call.
Yeah. Have yourself a good one.
You too. If you don't forget to feed your pets.
I will.
That was Bildo. Let's grab Philip. Hello, Philip.
Hi, I'm back.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Yeah. I would first like to thank you for your advice yesterday. I thought about it a little bit. Doing great.
Oh, sure.
My ideas. And today is for one of my characters that I'm gonna play in like a campaign from a friend of mine. It's a level 8 character because I'm like switching out a character that I'm currently playing that I'm kind of not enjoying super much right now.
What's the character that you're not enjoying?
It's a cool concept. It's a wildfire druid. And I mean, I like the character. It's just, I don't know, I get bored of stuff sometimes. And also, I don't know, I built it suboptimally. And I thought I would enjoy, and it's just really frustrating.
Yeah, suboptimal characters can be fun, but they can also be, suboptimal in D&D often just means you accomplish the thing you're trying to accomplish less.
Yeah, and I thought it would be fun and interesting, and like after 8 levels, I just realized that it's not that fun or interesting anymore.
All right, fair. So what's the new character you're thinking about?
I'm trying to build a blade singer.
Okay, blade singers are very strong.
Yeah,
are you not sure what to do, or are you trying to think?
I'm not sure how to do it. I was thinking about multi-classing. I've seen people suggest artificer. I've thought about what if I take 2 levels of fighter, or do I just go full blade singer?
So here's what I would say. If I were you, I would go in one of 2 directions. I would either go full blade singer, or I would consider taking a couple levels of artificer just to do battlesmith, so you can use intelligence for your attack and damage rolls with your weapons. That can be quite useful with the artificer. That's the 3rd level feature that the battlesmith gets. Other than that, I feel like there's not a big reason to do them. Like, you don't need to. And then I would, if I were you, I would go dex. I would lean into dex, and I would lean into intelligence. The player that I had that played a blade singer was they played a pretty standard like high elf, and they loved it, and they were very strong. You will still mostly be a wizard a lot of the time, but the thing is, the way that they built their character was they sort of took spells in 2 directions. They took spells that were very good for like out of combat utility things, or they took spells that were like, I am in blade singing mode. So basically they were very good at a bunch of utility stuff, but when combat started, they started their song, they were casting shield and stabbing stuff and going invisible and things. They're not hard to make strong, so long as you, I think, go in with a little bit of a plan, and take spells that are going to uplift you as a fighter when you want to be a fighter. But if you don't want to have to think about it that hard, then multi-classing is always an option. Multi-classing into fighter could be good. I would probably go Battlemaster. Not Battlemaster. I would probably go Battlesmith. And so that you can use your intelligence when you're fighting with magical weapons. So that way you could sort of, and if you're going to be level 8, you could just be like, all right, I'm going to take 3 levels of Battlesmith, 5 levels of Bladesinger Wizard, and you're already there. You're not going to have your second attack yet, because the second attack doesn't come in with the Bladesinger until level 6. So that's like a call to make, but I think that that could be fun. But if you don't want to do that, then just go straight battle.
I'll think about it. We still have to wrap up the old characters. It's like a arc. I think we're doing it this session tonight.
Yeah.
So it's not like immediate.
Cool, but I think Bladesingers are really fun and really strong. Really strong. I like them a lot. They're basically a barbarian wizard, is the sort of the way to think about them.
Yeah. Very cool.
The one that I had in my campaign, they got to pretty high level. They were like level 10 or 11. And he was just mincemeating people, and his main thing that he would do is he would cast greater invisibility on himself, and then he was just like, I have advantage on everything. And it was pretty,
and they can't see me. Oh yeah, goodness me.
It was pretty devastating, but it was devastating against most things, but they were also high enough level and like doing plane travel that they pretty regularly were fighting things that like had blind sight or true sight, like like planetaras and shit.
Yeah.
So it was also very fun every time that he thought he was invisible and then a monster could see him. I enjoyed those moments too. Those were funny. But you don't want to do that too much or you're being a dick. But it was a good time. All right, cool. Yeah, man, I don't have any other really thoughts. I think that Bladesinger is one of those classes that's just good. Like, it's hard to make it bad unless you really put your stats in weird places.
Yeah, and background probably doesn't matter a whole bunch.
I mean, whenever I'm making a character, I pick a background based on 2 things. I pick a background based on what the 2 skills are I get from it, because if I want to just fill in those 2 specific skills, and then I kind of just make it whatever I want it to be. So like if I want to be like, oh, I want the sleight of hand and stealth skill, I'll take the criminal background, then I'll just talk to my dungeon master and be like, hey, do I have to be a criminal? Could I have been like just a guy that was like a spy or something? And this is just the skills that I get, because backgrounds are very modular, so you don't need to be super precise.
Isn't it? I think there's also a rule somewhere. I think it might be Monster of the Multiverse where it just lets you choose any 2 proficiencies.
Yeah, there you go. Someone in chat, Basscat, asked what are the rules? The rules are you go into the queue. Oh, you're already in the queue. And then I will pull you in when it is your turn. And then you can ask me a question. We'll chat for a little bit. I'm looking at chat, Basscat. I'm just not being rude to the person I'm talking to. I'm prioritizing the speaker over the chat. But I see all.
Very nice of you. I like not being ignored. It's wonderful.
Cool. Yeah, so I would say, the thing that you're going to want to be thinking about the most with a battle with a Bladesinger, and you think about, it's the kind of thing you think about a lot when you're any sort of spellcaster, but with a Bladesinger it comes at a lot more because you're going to be in the heat of battle, is making sure you have a good combination of concentration and non-concentration spells, because you are going to find yourself in situations where you're going to be like stepping on your own toe and losing concentration a lot. So just something to think about. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I suggest doing it. Go for it. I will. All right, man. Cool. I love a blade.
Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Yeah.
That was Philip. All right, next we have Sauce Bomber. It's a fun name. Hello, Sauce Bomber. Sauce Bomber, you gotta unmute or I can't talk to you.
Haha, that's what it was.
How's it going, buddy?
Hello.
Hello. What can I do for you on this glorious July afternoon?
Can you hear me? Are my audio problems fixed?
I can hear you like a bell in the wind.
Fantastic. Hi, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
I've just had a quick question. I'm trying to create a weapon selling character that can go from town to town, and in each town create a not like a hub, but like a thing that he can leave behind and come to sell things. Basically like a traveling merchant.
Is this a character or an NPC?
This is a character.
And your dungeon master is interested in this idea?
Yes, this is a character I've used for previous campaigns, and I'm hoping to create him into a multiverse kind of thing where he just goes around into different people's worlds and sells them guns.
Are you playing this character while they're doing multiverse stuff, or are you sort of handing it over to your dungeon master and making it an NPC?
It'd probably be handed over to the dungeon master at that point, since he's going to end up taking the world and doing more stuff with it, campaigns later on.
Cool. Yeah, it's an interesting idea. I like a good multiversal salesman. So what is your question, good sir?
My question would be, what kind of class combinations or what kind of classes should I really go into to promote that kind of goal? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. You're probably going to want to go spellcaster. You're probably going to want to take I would say you're going to want to lean into conjuration magic more than anything else. Conjuration magic in D&D is the ability to move something from one place to the other. So that is summoning objects, summoning creatures, teleportation, which is basically, I think, what a lot of that's going to be. Now,
ooh, are you thinking sorcerer or warlock?
I would go neither. I would probably go wizard.
Oh, okay.
Sorcerers and warlocks get very few spells. Wizards have the capability of learning way more spells, and this is definitely going to be a class where you're going to want to have more spells than less, because most of the spells you're going to need to accomplish this goal are not going to be fun spells to have in a normal D&D game. So if you're planning on playing normal D&D with this character as well as doing this thing, you're going to want to have room to get the spells you need to accomplish this this goal, in addition to just being able to be a character that plays the game, if that makes sense.
Okay.
There are not a lot of spells that leave permanent like way stations, but there are spells like a secret chest or private chest, where it's like you can summon you basically can summon a chest from another realm that keeps stuff in it. There's also spells like wrist pocket. These are the things you're going to want to be looking at. The spells that allow you to like basically hide things places. There's also
interesting. I hadn't thought of that.
Well, because I mean, is your idea literally like you want to like dig a hole and put a bunch of stuff in it and bury it and then come back there and dig it back up and then sell it?
More like I go into a town, I set up a shop somewhere and can come back to it in the future, kind of thing. My character originally designed was. Do you play Overwatch?
I do. Not anymore, but I
not
used to.
sponsored. I still do. I'm stuck in it. I can't get out.
I stopped playing for a little while and I just haven't picked back up. I'm a tank player and it's no fun being a tank anymore. Everyone just
it's no fun being a tank anymore.
Everyone yells at you if you're playing the thing that you want to be, and that's not fun.
It's because you can't be an off tank. They got rid of the second tank, and it just doesn't have the same kind of weight as it used to.
Yep.
Anyways, I was basing this character line after. Oh God.
What happened to your voice?
My mic just died.
Oh no.
Are you serious? Halfway through the thing?
I can still hear you.
I'm so sorry. Is the audio worse at this point?
It's worse, but it's still fine.
Okay, I apologize.
No, don't worry about it. So what are you thinking about? So what are you trying to base this character off of?
Brigit, sorry, not Bridget. Brigit.
Okay.
Shield and mail flail. Sorry, shield and flail with a healing aspect and defense.
Okay, so then here's what you're gonna do. Here's what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
You're gonna go artificer.
Okay.
And you're gonna probably want to go battlesmith.
Ooh.
You're gonna have a pet dog, robot. But you're also gonna be good with weapons and armor. You're also gonna have some healing magic. Basically, you're gonna. What's what I would do? I would reflavor your pet dog, so that it's like a cart on legs that you can it's like your traveling shop with you.
Oh, that is so cool. like an ox or something that can yeah.
It's like the creature that it can be your horse that pulls your cart, but because you are like
Such
a
a good
tinkerer
idea.
and a machinist, it's like a big robot.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, I'm definitely going to. Yes, I'm going to put a star next to that and do that. Thank you so
That's
much.
probably what I would do if I were you. It's gonna be a little. This is gonna require, in order to accomplish this thing truly well, you are gonna need to be a little bit flexible, and your dungeon master is gonna need to be a little bit flexible in terms of you guys working together to sort of homebrew aspects of it, because there really is not in D&D a class designed to have like you set up shops places like a merchant class.
Yeah, they didn't incorporate any of that.
No, it's really not in the game. But I think that's because it just wasn't where the game was focused when it first came out, and it's just still not focused in that direction. But it also kind of creates this space where, in order to do that, you either need to role play some new mechanics, or you need to decide to just not role play, to build new mechanics, or to put a lot of it in like the role play. You know, like there doesn't need to be mechanics backing a lot of this, especially if you have like a pretty clear idea of the character separate from this story of them being a traveling salesman. The traveling salesman character could kind of be any class, you know? Like the reason Artificer I think works is because it fits being close to Brigitte, but also there's an element of like them being crafters and stuff that kind of fits into that vibe.
I like that. That works.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Thank you for the question.
Yes. Thank you so much for your help. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Sure, man. You too. Don't be a stranger. Come back anytime.
I won't. Thank you.
All right. Bye. All right. That was the sauce. That was the sauce. Next is Smithy. All right, Smithy. Why do you have all right, Smithy. Let's pull in Smithy. Hello, Smithy.
Good evening.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, all times and spaces.
It's 8 o'clock in the evening here in the Netherlands.
Oh, I love the Netherlands. I've never been there, but I yearn to sit upon your mountains one day. Or your flatlands, one of the two.
The entire 2-meter hill that we call mountain here.
Yeah, I love it. I can see all the windmills and all the cattle or whatever creatures you have.
You gotta love them.
I will say this. I'm gonna just talk about your region for a second.
All right, bring it.
The part of the world that you live in makes some of the most interesting movies, because I feel like most movies are very similar, and whenever there's a movie that's like from the area of the Netherlands, it does some weird thing that I didn't expect, and I appreciate that.
I don't know what's like weird and what's normal outside of the Netherlands, so can you give an example?
It's not even that things are weird. It's just like there is a tone that is a little bit dark and a little bit like
yeah.
It's like quietly very dark, and I appreciate that. But it's like it's quiet, but it's like, oh, this is fucked up, and I appreciate that in a movie.
Yeah, we are very direct, and we definitely know our own stereotypes quite a bit when it comes to that.
It's good stuff. You guys make good media. Anyway, what can I help you with?
Well, it's less D&D specific, but more of a roleplay related question.
Sure, yeah. Listen, if somebody calls in and wants to talk about their relationship, I'm down. I'm down to talk about whatever today. I'm chilling.
Well, anyway, last few sessions I've kind of blanked out on the whole roleplay aspect, mostly because I've been trying to play a lot more of a serious character, and mostly because the other players in the table, they are very good friends. I love them, but they give so many like Marvel-esque universe. There's like witty remarks all the time. While I'm here saying like, I want this character to be like very serious, very down to earth, doesn't say all that much. But actually, when it actually comes to my turn to like say something, to be confronted by a person, I actually just blank out and tell the DM I'm not comfortable with the roleplay at the moment, and I actually just miss out on something.
And are you when you aren't playing a serious character, when you are playing a little bit of a goofy character, does this happen also, or are you more comfortable?
Normally, I like play a barbarian that's like he is a 6 intellect, and he can just say the most dumb or outright false courage like thing in the world, and I just quote unquote pop off when it comes to role playing.
Do you think that your issue with role playing a serious character is coming from you feeling uncomfortable sitting in a serious role, or because you're just blank and you're not sure of what to say? Like, you keep jumping to goofy things, but you can't think of the serious thing.
Yeah, that's the thing. I do want to not play a goofy character anymore, but I also feel like I'm trying those few things that are that I have to say. I try to make them like too perfect. Like, oh, I now have to say something that's exactly him, and then yeah,
okay, I gotcha. So I think what's happening with you is actually something that happens with a lot of people when they're playing D&D, which is it is a lot easier to feel flexible and to role play, A, when you're something that you're comfortable with, but B, when the thing that you're comfortable with is a flexible, goofy thing. Like, it's just the easier spot to sit in. But I think the issue here isn't necessarily that. I think the issue here is that you are seeking perfection.
Yeah.
A serious character doesn't necessarily mean they say the perfect thing every time they talk. It just means they're serious. Like, a serious character can stumble over their words. A serious character can say something stupid. A serious character can say, I don't know what to do here. Blah, blah, blah. Like, that's not a not serious character thing to say. That's sort of being earnest. And I think that what I do whenever I'm playing a character that is like a radically different type of character than I normally play, I try to make their initial personality very simple. I don't try to make it super nuanced at all. I try to think of like one or two things that are pretty core important to them, and I don't worry about anything else. And I let them stumble, and if I don't know what to say, they might go, I don't know. But that's okay, because a character can say that. But then when I have so for example, if I wanted to play a very serious character, I might be like, they think that violence is a last resort, and they genuinely want to help people. Like, those are the two things. Like, they genuinely want to help, and they would rather do anything other than violence before they'll do violence. That doesn't necessarily mean they have to have their shit together. That just means that that's their initial thing. So I don't know if this character is panicky. I don't know if they're bold. I don't know what they are yet other than those two things. But because I only have to worry about those two things, they can be anything. Like, they can be really intense and really direct, or they can be stumbling over their words and not sure of how to accomplish the goal. And I sort of figure out how to role play them as I play.
All right.
That's what I would say. I would say don't feel like you need to know how to role play this character. What you should know is you should need to know like some very broad core like ideologies of this character, and then try to like lean into those, but let them come out however they come out. And you know what? They might be goofy. They might not be serious all the time, but I guarantee you they're going to be a lot more serious when it comes down to the stuff that matters. Like, you know what I mean? And if you give yourself that space to not have them need to be a specific thing, but sort of figure out who they are as you're playing them, it's going to be a lot more comfortable, and you're not going to feel like you need to figure out what to say, because you're sort of going to be figuring out what to say at the same pace that the character is figuring out what to say.
Yeah, I see where you're going at.
So I would just simplify. I would simplify and not worry about it needing to be anything too big. Like, you know how like in the character sheets there's that section that's like goals, flaws, bonds, or whatever, and like I usually keep that section blank. But that might be a situation where it's like actually like, oh, let's take advantage of that. So like what are like the main rule that this character lives by, and like things like that. And then you can just sort of use those to be like, how much is this thing that I'm dealing with connected to these things? And if it's really not connected to these things, I can kind of say whatever, because I'm just sort of figuring out, I don't know who the fuck this character is. But if they are really directed to if they are really related to those things, you can immediately be like, oh, I'm going to like, I need to be really direct now because I know that this is important to me. And even being really direct, you can be stumbling over your words. You know, people stumble all the time.
Yeah, I see that.
Serious does not need to be perfection. And if you don't worry about it being perfection, it will eventually become something way more close to that, I think, initial idea that you have.
Sometimes, less is more by giving yourself less guidelines, you can actually make something.
Yeah, and the thing is, you're still going to get to that thing that you want to get to. You're just going to grow into it, as opposed to forcing yourself to start there.
Yeah. I see it. I see.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, thanks. I'll keep that in mind for next session.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, Smithy.
No worries.
All right, buddy. Have a good one.
Yes, you too.
All right, click. All right, next is Thunder Dan Man. Thunder Dan Man. He's muted and deafened. Let's see if he unmutes and undeafens. Oh, he did. Hello.
Hello.
How's it going, buddy?
It's going pretty good. Another West Coast viewer.
Nice. California or another state?
Washington.
Washington. I was in Olympia.
Yeah, I heard.
It's not in Oregon. I realized that as soon as you said Washington. The guy from Oregon was probably like, the fuck? Olympia's not in Oregon. What are you talking about? Anyway, how's it going? Well, what can I do for you today?
So for like background on my question's based on roleplay for a campaign I started to run.
Sure, cool.
But the backstory is I started playing D&D like a year ago, and I've only been in like one campaign that whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And first campaign I've ever played D&D, and it was Tomb of Annihilation.
Mm-hmm.
Gestalted. And so it was very combat heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And in my campaign, I want to help the players do more roleplay, but I don't know how I would like work that in.
Do you have a specific camp? Are you running a module or are you doing a homebrew?
Homebrew campaign.
Cool. So I think that the best. All right. So I'm going to suggest two things. I'm going to suggest three things. One, there is a strategy that you can encourage the players to do that will make roleplay happen more. Encourage them to talk in the first person when they're talking about their character. Instead of saying my character does this, say I do this. Encourage them to try to do a voice, even if it's not good. There is something I just made a YouTube short about this. There's a thing that happens in your brain when you talk in the first person, and when you try to talk in a consistent voice that isn't your own, where you sort of start to become that voice a little bit, and that will help the lizard part of your brain sort of more emotionally connect to things, which often leads to more roleplay. So that's a good thing to try. I wouldn't be super strict about it, but I would encourage attempting it. The other thing that you can do is you can ask players to you can sort of encourage roleplay by setting a scene of roleplay. So let me give you an example. Your characters have walked through the woods. They just fought a manticore. And it was like the first big fight that they had. Maybe they're level 2, and it was like, they barely survived. And they're like sitting by a campfire. It's like the end of the night. They're like, okay, we need to long rest. So instead of just being like, cool, you guys long rest, this is what you say. You, as a dungeon master, say something along the lines of, all right, you guys set up camp. The stars come out. You can hear the birds, the night birds and the insects. You guys just fought a legitimate monster. You've never fought a monster before. You survived fighting that monster by working together. It was intense for your characters. How are they feeling right now? What are they thinking about? And then ask each of the players to do that. And then what you'll find is sometimes it'll just be them going in a circle and talking about how their characters feel, but oftentimes it will quickly turn into them talking to each other about how their characters feel. And as soon as that starts, that's when you shut the hell up and you just sit back and you just let them sit in character and talk. But asking players, what is your character thinking about right now? What are they feeling? And sort of framing the conversation around the importance of that moment is a very useful tool. It's almost like you're being the director in that moment where you because in D&D, it's like everyone's just like playing. They're not really thinking about the context. And it's like it's often the way you as a player feel is going to be a little different than the way a character would actually feel, especially in a situation like that where the players are just like high-fiving, yeah, we fucking did it. But the characters are probably like, holy fuck, monsters are real, and we have to keep doing this. Like, there could be, there's different elements there. So encouraging players to explore how their characters are feeling and framing that question in the direction that you want the conversation to go is a very useful tool for that. The other thing is just give them scenarios where the solution is not fighting. Have them, have them need to uncover something about a town that requires them to talk to the people in the town to learn about the town, that sort of thing.
Sounds.
Those are the three things I would say.
Yeah, so actually, in the campaign that was the Toa Gestalt, we are now doing a Cursory Gestalt because we finished Toa.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually had a moment that you talked about where it's like asking what we're doing, and then he just shut up. And we ended up playing 3 dragon cards for like 40 minutes IRL.
I mean, that's pretty roleplay heavy, if you ask me.
Yeah, we for the Cursory campaign, we were going to try to do more. But yeah, from a DM's perspective, that was really helpful. Thanks.
Cool, man. No problem. Thank you for the call. Click. That was Thunder Dan, man. Next is oh, guys, everybody calm down. We have a Dalek is going to be coming in. Hopefully they don't exterminate us. Let's see what happens. Hello. Are you here to exterminate, or do you have a question about D&D? Dalek.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, are you here to exterminate, or do you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question.
Great.
Okay, so basically, I got into like D&D 4 months ago, thanks to my friends. And we do like side stories when any of us can't play. And in one of them, I'm the DM.
Cool.
So I have like a weird system with the moons in the world.
Okay.
And I have like blessings and curses from the moon. And I wanted to ask how to make them like more interesting.
Are these blessing and curses, are they like mechanical things, like special things the characters are getting?
Yeah, they're like, for example, I used one that was like the curse of illiteracy that made so the character couldn't understand any language.
I think the best way to make special boons and curses interesting is to give them features that the players would just never normally get, or features that are incredibly strong, but incredibly specific. So, like, for example, one that I've seen before is, like, a blessing of, like, the Iron Root, where your character can just not be moved against their will. They're just immune to it. If they don't want to move, they're not moving. Is that really strong? Yeah. But is it also really situational? Yeah. So giving players access to features that like they couldn't even get from multi-classing is I think the best move here. I would strongly encourage not being like, you get a bunch of spells for free, but thinking about like legitimate, like what are some weird features we could give? Like okay, now you have thermal vision. So you don't really have blind sight, but you can like, you can see the heat radiating off creatures or things like that. Like, that's what I would say. Go in directions of features that do not normally exist in the game. Try to come up with stuff that is just brand spanking new, because that's going to be the coolest stuff.
Yeah, I was thinking of stuff like that, because like, one of the blessings I gave was the Hive blessing, that let them be neutral against any bug, like giant bugs. Because they were in a desert full of them.
Yeah, that could work well too. I think that could work really well. Yeah, so I would just say if you want the way to make those features, especially if they're like extra features that they can't just choose to get, the way to make them more interesting is to make them features that they're not going to get in any other situation.
Yeah, and then the moons, they appear at night, and they can last a random amount of time, like a couple of days, generally. And they changed the world in a weird way, like, the last moon was the Hive moon, because I thought it would be fun to be in a desert full of insects. And, like, it made the insects fly in tight packs and, like, scout the areas and be stronger overall.
Yeah. You could also do stuff where it's like, also, Sauce Bomber, that's a very nice comment. I'm glad you liked, you're welcome. Thanks for calling. But the other thing that you could do is you could do things where it's like, what if there is like, I mean, you could get really weird with it. Like, what if there's a moon where it's like every animal becomes invisible, or like every creature gains the ability to move through walls. Especially those kind of features could be really cool if you're in a place that normally wouldn't be that dangerous. Like if you're in a forest where the most dangerous thing are like bears and wolves, but now suddenly those bears and wolves are invisible. it kind of makes it a balanced, scary fight where it's like, sure, you're gonna, you're not gonna lose against a bunch of wolves most likely, but it's gonna be a lot harder to fight them if you can't see them. So stuff like that, stuff where you could like put like almost like template features on top of creatures, or you could do stuff where it's like everything happens. So like, for example, what if there's a moon where if you're under that moon, every single attack deals more damage. Every attack deals a little bit of radiant damage. The player attacks, the monster attacks, everything. So it's just like everything is turned up a little bit. You could do stuff like that. I would say lean into the stuff that's going to make the action more interesting, or create funny moments too. Because you could also get very silly with it. Like you could create a moon where it's like what if there's a moon where within that moon everything is invincible? Suddenly you have a whole little section where your characters can't win a fight or can't lose a fight. And now they have to figure out how to solve problems without fighting for, under that moon. Because it's like, yep, I can't hurt this bad guy. They can't hurt me. I guess we need to like talk about it so they let me go across the bridge. Because otherwise we're just going to stand here punching each other and nothing's ever going to change.
Yeah, so I had another moon in mind. This is like really simple. Like a moon that slowly drains your